going on? It's been a long time. I know last time I did a video on my GT Grade, it was in the dark. So now that it's actually pretty decent weather here, well, I shouldn't say decent. It feels like October right now in the middle of February. But let me go over the bike. You know, this is the GT Grade. It's actually the one of the it's actually from like the 2018-19 lineup. It doesn't, the difference between this iteration and the latest iteration GT Grade is, of course, this fork doesn't have the flip chip. Yeah, it doesn't have the attachments if you're going to carry panniers or anything like that. So also one of the tech they carried over that if you watch my channel, you've seen it in the GT Zascar Elite Alloy, is the floating seat stays. Where on the floating seat stays, they actually go past here and don't contact it like you see here, and just attach directly to the top tube, and that's supposed to give it a much more compliant ride. This bike is actually pretty decent. It's a pretty compliant ride as it is, so I can't imagine how much better it got. But let me show you my spec. I decided to do this as a flat bar kind of street fighter bike. That way I could do gravel rides. I can still ride it on the road, just have to swap out tires. I've been experimenting with that. And also I can do mountain bike races occasionally, just depending on how crazy it is. I did one mountain bike race on it, but I've been mountain biking on it non-competitively. It's a real cool setup. It's an awesome bike. You know, it's like riding an old school bike with all the qualities that you wanted improved, like braking, of course, you know, better gearing option, lighter, handles real nice, and it's carbon. You know, back in the, if any of you raced like I did back in the early 90s, you know, it was a real clunky suspension. It wasn't as good as they are now. Sometimes you would prefer rigid. This fork's actually not bad. I will say that with the Magura MT5 setup that I've got here, if I really brake hard on this fork does not like it, and I can hear it. So yeah, I have to be pretty judicious about it. It's not to the point where you know, it's like everyday braking, you know, where I'm just squeezing the hell out of it. I just wanted to see what the tolerance was on this fork, and I know where it is. But yeah, this is a completely fully carbon tapered steered fork, so it has a compression plug, and in here it's not the usual star nut that you get. Front right now, it's right now it's equipped with a Vittoria Torino 0 tire in a 35 millimeter. What I've learned is there's not much there's not much clearance on either side here. And definitely not in the back. I was running a GT says that you can run the clearance is for 36, but I think 33 is your safest bet. I think within this UCI rules, right, for cyclocross. I don't do really any cyclocross, but that's what I've heard. And I ran the same tire I had the same tire put in the back on a 35, and it does not like it. So I was getting so much frame rub, you can't see it, but if it's just slightly out, it was rubbing on the frame, and I rubbed off a little bit of paint on that. I checked the frame, so I don't think I really did any damage to the carbon, but things to be aware of. So if you're looking at the non-boost version, or the non-142 width, this is actually the old school 135 quick release. It's a weird setup, because this is a 135 135, you know, 136 depending, rear end on a quick release, and then here it runs a 15 millimeter through axle, which is real kind of like an interesting combo. So if you're going to try to find a wheel set, it's sort of, in a sense, like, you know, you either get through axles front and rear, or you get quick release front and rear. It's very seldom that you get like an old school rear end coupled with like a 15 millimeter by 100 through axle. So so for me, I went with the Fsa Agx Wheels, brand new. And the reason they did that is because they have convertible hubs, so you can run them I think 12 and 15 through axle with a 100, or I mean a 12 by 15, 12 by 100, 15 by 100, axle spacing. Here in the back, it's just a quick release, so you're not going to be running through axle at all. Here I didn't do road bike gearing at all. I just wanted to test out the bike if I liked it at all and what I was going to use it for. So right now it's using Shimano 175 length or crank arm length spin, or gosh, sorry, I'm so tired, but it's a Shimano SLX and a 175 millimeter length on a 104 BCD with a 32 millimeter, or I mean not millimeter, 32 tooth chainring up front, and this is a 10-speed in the back. This is a Sunrace cassette, so it's the 42 by 11 in the back. Thing you got to be cognizant of is this is a non-clutch rear derailleur, and we had to find a little extension to make this combination work, because this is right here is the stock rear derailleur, probably meant for a road bike on a way smaller cassette, of course, if you look at the specs for the other GTs. Was able to scrap this off of another rear derailleur. This is not the one that comes with the Shimano Dior 10-speed, and you barely get any clearance on it. So in this biggest gear, I think a 46 would have really been difficult, if impossible, because the 42 on here is like about as max as I've been able to go, and it's a little bit touchy. So if you don't dial it in perfect, like it's gonna let you know. And so up front, I'm running my old school Ritchie WCS bar ends. The reason I do is because, yeah, sometimes it's just not, if I'm doing gravel rides on a flat bar bike, it's just nice to have different hand positions like this, or just kind of just want to coast like that on a nice uphill or whatever, you know, when you're grinding it out on like a long climb. Here, this is a Shimano 10-speed Z Shifter. You can find them on Jensen for under 25 bucks. These are awesome. I can't say enough. You know, they're really super duper reliable, really easy to install. You can run them through mud, things like that, as long as you keep, you know, you do a decent wash and keep them, you know, wash your bike and take care of it. This will last you for quite a long time. I have several bikes that are running the Shimano 10-speed Z Shifter, a lot of my older bikes, and never had to replace one after, I think, over, I want to say 5 years now. Real impressive, and they still work as good as new. These are my Race Face half Nelson grips. I like them. I always like just a thinner grip, and these are tacky in the rain, and they're comfortable. If I want to if I just don't want to wear gloves, you know, I can do that, and it works fine. These are the Shimano, or not Shimano, these are the Magura MT5 brakes, front and rear. And what I like about, and these are in the two finger configuration, so you have to be, they're actually pretty comfortable. Like, I feel like I think even if I want one finger that's available, I think in the HC1s, you know, wouldn't have been like too much of a game changer, but these are pretty decent. They're excellent brakes. I have them practically in every disc brake bike, and so I would recommend the Magura MT5s hands down, because they're just such a nice 4-piston brake. It's running, so the max on here you can run, I tried doing a 180 rotor, I couldn't do it. 160 is a max for the stock configuration. This is a stock fork. Same with the back. It's a 160, it's cleared for a 160, I think. That's the biggest you can do. Otherwise the 180 you're really running into problems. So which would be a word, 160 and 180 rear. But yeah, it's running a 160 rotor combination on Magura Storm rotors. So and they're really nice. They're they're slightly thicker than you'll find out of Sram and stuff. I think the only actual rotor that's as thick as this are by Formula, and but these are real nice. If you're running the stock configuration, the rotors and the pads, pretty quiet. And these are on the composite pads. Here is a Race Face turbine. What happened is I recently broke a GT sensor, not the LTS one. I had a 2013 iDrive sensor, and I broke it, the frame, and so I just had all these spare parts, and with, of course, coronavirus and the pandemic, difficult to get parts. So I decided, screw it, I'm gonna just do a flat bar build, and this turned out real beyond my expectations. This is nice. This is a 720 wide handlebar, because that's how I have most, if not, I think every single one of my bikes set up except for my road bike. And Easton stem that I pulled off from the scrap bin, from my spare parts bin, and this is fairly comfortable. This is a roughly about an 80 millimeter length stem, and this handlebar is like a 31.8 clamp diameter setup here. Here is where the magic happens. I think it makes it all comfortable. This is a PNW coast dropper. It actually, if you can see here, it says 200-300 psi. It's let me see if I can do it. Here we go. It's a suspension dropper, so you get 40 millimeters of travel, and then 100 millimeters of adjustment. It's nice when sometimes you're a little bit tired from those long 30+ mile rides, and or even just where the trail's a little bit rough and you definitely don't feel like standing, and then really comfortable. Awesome. I did external, and the only reason I like doing external, and this is a 27.2 millimeter diameter, so if you're gonna run if you're looking into a grid like this, yeah, it will accept a dropper. You can run it internally, I think. Let me check. Okay, I take that back, I was wrong. And so I'm running external. I love the PNW stuff. It's just the droppers the customer service is top notch. The quality of the product is great. If you have any technical issues with them, with the dropper posts, typically they'll take your word for it. You send one, like they'll send you a new one out, and then you just send back the old one. So that way you're not missing too many days out of the saddle if it's your only bike. This is a Pulse dropper trigger. I love it. This is in the 22.2. Pulse makes two, one for a drop bar, which is obviously I think the 31.8, and here, which is a 22.2. Most mountain bike handlebars, I think, right to like currently, and this is just awesome. I like it. It's so, what they do is they have this bearing underneath this nut, just such a smooth, like really robust, awesome. My favorite. They make them in multiple colors too. Check them out, paulcomponents.com. And what I enjoy is it accepts both the cable head and the cable end, so flat, as long like it's compatible with practically any mechanical dropper post. It's just such a good, awesome, and it's made in the USA. It's made out in Chico, California. Really quality stuff, and even through the pandemic, they've still been able to just bang out parts and make quality parts. I have these on in different colors on a few different bikes. Never had a problem with one. They're just so robust and strong. Like it's a machined piece of aluminum all the way through. The only thing that's plastic is a barrel adjuster. But I love it. The headset here, it's a tapered, so this is an FSA headset. I forget what the bearing setup is, but yeah, it's a 1/1/8 to 1 1/4, so pretty good. I mean, at least it kept that current, because that would have just been a deal breaker for me. But here, so this is naturally this bike comes with it's a stock Pressfit. This bike is configured for a Pressfit bottom bracket. What you can do is you can get, Sram actually makes an adapter, so you can press in the adapter, put in a threaded BSA, and I'm running a BSA 73, so it's a 73 millimeter, or it's a 73 millimeter bottom bracket, and so what I'm doing is I'm running two spacers here, and then you can't even see it, but there's actually just one here, so works, or no, it doesn't have a spacer here. It's just two on the drive side and then zero here, because I had initially done that and didn't set up right, so now it does, and rides real decent. You know, I've just been playing with different tires. I was actually running a different set of Torinos, so I was running the Torino dries. Unbelievably awesome tires. I rode them in the wet here in the Pacific Northwest, and just cuts through. I'm impressed. Like, for a skinny tire, like, just awesome. And considered a gravel tire, I'm like, I have nothing but good things to say about the Vittoria tires. These Torino Zeros, they look slick, right? But when I was road cycling on these were picking up gravel, like, and some were just getting, like, really fine sandy stuff was just getting caught up in this tread here, or in this slick here, and I was just like, wow, these are tacky. These are as tacky as my grips. So great traction, even in the wet. Rode these on wet asphalt, pretty good. I haven't tried them mountain biking. These are just specifically going to be for my road gravel rides. So, and that's where the bike is headed towards, you know, for bike race, because I tried it for bike racing. It was enjoyable, but not something you want to do all the time. And so anyway, this frame, I'm 5 foot. They consider it small, but I'm 5'7", 5'6", depending on whatever. And I have a 32-inch leg inseam, and this bike fits pretty well. Like, you know, let me just pull it out of the rack. Even though I have no pedals, I usually run platforms, as any of you know. And my standover height on it's pretty good. I just realized that was sort of going to be a weird idea, because then you're just looking at my crotch. So anyway, I'm just putting this back in. So anyway, that's the overview of the bike. Oh yeah, and then these are one of my favorite saddles. I'm kind of bummed out that SKS is no longer a distributor for SQ Lab saddles. This is an awesome saddle. I did get my seat bones measured, and I can accommodate a 145, 150 millimeter width saddles, but this is really comfortable for long rides. It's an awesome road. Even I would even compare it as good as my road bike ones. It's a really flat profile, super light. I can't believe they even do carbon rails. I do just the chromoly ones. These are the steel rails, just because I'm going to transfer it out of a lot of bikes, and sometimes it's easy to over torque stuff if you're not paying attention. And to me, you know, I'm a heavy guy. Like, I'm not saving that much weight by just swapping out the seat rails. So I'd choose durability. Also, I want to say this, kind of a shout out to, if you have multiple bikes like me, I think I'm going to go with this kind of bike stand. And the reason is because one of the things I noticed is I had an older bike stand, and it happened with this bike, is I bought some ones out of a department store, and they angle kind of like this. So as you park the bike, it pushes, the metal piece protrudes or catches on here, and, you know, of course it'll bend your rear derailleur. I think this style of bike stand is real nice. Like, I think I'm gonna have to buy literally a dozen of them, because I got a bunch of bikes. But I think if you're running I'm just pulling a plug for this, obviously. It's not sponsored at all. But I will say, if you have a lot of bikes, you're looking for the right bike stand, I would not turn your head for this style of design, because it stands pretty, like, even on my heavier GT sanctioned bike, works real well. But just a quick PSA on on bike stands, because I realize I'm gonna have to go this route now, especially because the other issue is, the nice part about this is it doesn't interfere with your rotors. So on my old on the other bike stand I use, it does, and you can bend your rotors and stuff, even if you're trying to put it in real straight and perfect and whatever. So there's that. Oh, I forgot to say, sorry, you can install a front derailleur. It is possible, and obviously I didn't do a good job just plugging that. And so if you want to run road bike gearing, you want to run a compact up front, you can actually do that. You just have to change out the cassette to the typical road bike cassettes of, like, I think a 32, 34, and like a 32, 34 big gear or big cog, and then, you know, the usual like 11 tooth in the back. So you can run it with like a front derailleur if that's your thing, or you can run it like I did, or you can run it like a gravel with a bigger gearing, but still a smaller cassette. So because this is actually maxing out my rear derailleur on here too, but it works finicky, but it works to the point actually it doesn't annoy me, and I enjoy it. So that is it. If you have any questions about the bike, thanks for waiting it out. I know I did it in the garage. It was dark as hell, and it still gets sunset at like, I don't know, in another hour or two. But I'll do a ride review on here, and hopefully you folks like it. And I'll do it one on the road. The highlights, I'm not gonna drag out a 1.5 hour trip unless you folks want that. Let me know, and or I'll do both versions, and then I'll mountain bike on this. I'll just have to swap out the tires, but I do plan on bike racing it at a local blue line, green line XC race called Wednesday Night Worlds, and see how I do. I don't know if I'll have the camera on me, because these GoPros are kind of heavy when you have them on your head. It sucks. So you know, people put them on the handlebar. Maybe I will, I don't know, but you know, that's here nor there. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for hanging out. I will see you again next time. All right, bye.